Right, welcome everyone. Everyone's coming in. Welcome, Caesar. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Really lovely to see everyone coming in.
Hi, everyone.
So let's get started, Veronique, shall we?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure. Yes.
So welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us today for this webinar that we've entitled The Breath at Work Revolution. We thought this was a very appropriate name, being two French women, at least our origins are French. We thought that we had to bring in that word revolution because we do feel it's a bit of a revolution to bring in breath work into the workplace. So just a little bit about us before we get started. We're not going to tell you too much because we believe you could go and check out our profiles on LinkedIn, which is probably how you got to us anyway. And if you want to know more about us, we'll be more than happy to jump on a call and tell you about all our background and our credentials. In a nutshell, Veronique and I met about almost 2 years ago. We met as we were embarking on this journey of breathwork. We met in a school called Breathwork Africa, where we did our training, our advanced training to become breathwork practitioners, accredited by the International Breathwork Foundation. But more importantly, I think, and what's most relevant today is that we both have extensive corporate experience. So if we combine our years of work in the corporate world, we've probably worked about 45 years in the corporate world in different industries and different types of roles. There is a common thread between us, which is sort of working on learning in the space of learning. Veronique comes more from sort of instructional design side, and I come more from facilitation and coaching side. But we've combined forces here, and we've combined also the passion we have for personal development and well-being as well. Veronique happens to also have a very successful online yoga business as well that she's created a few years ago. So we're bringing those 45 years of experience, and we say 15 years of experience in breathwork. Veronique is way more experienced than I in breathwork because she's been in the world of yoga for longer than I have been. I sort of really have joined the breathwork world 2 years ago, but together it sort of amounts to about 15 years of experience, and that's sort of what we want to sort of bring to you today and share a little bit of this today in today's webinar. I don't know if you have anything to add to this, Veronique.
No, I just would like to reiterate what you said, and it's a real pleasure to welcome you all and to share our passion for breathwork. That's really what unites us and what we want to share today. So I've got one question, however, for everybody. This is a question that we often ask our clients, and the question is, how often do you take short breaks during your workday to breathe? So you can answer via the chat box, or you can answer the poll that appears now on the screen. I'll give you just a little bit more. Don't think too much, just answer. And yeah, so that's already a good indication. This corroborate what we usually find is that most people don't take short breaks during the day. However, people who join our webinars are more likely to take a short break from time to time to focus on their breath because they are aware of the importance of breathing properly. But in general, we find that a lot of people do not take breaks during the day to focus on their breath because they are not aware of the impact the breath has on their well-being. So that's really what we usually find out. But let's look at some facts about the breath now. So I've got another question. And the question is, can you slow your digestion right now? Or can you focus and speed up your heart rate? Unless you are superhumans, you cannot do that. And if I ask you, can you slow your breath or can you speed up your breath? You don't have to be superhuman to be able to do that. This is what is really fascinating about the breath. It's the only function of the autonomic nervous system that we can control. And that is why it is so powerful, because we can either let the body be breathed without doing anything, like the digestion, like anything else, or we can take control over it. And what we can change in our breath, we can change the speed of the breath, the length, the intensity, the channel. These are all the parameters that we can influence. So imagine the wide range of possibilities when we combine these different parameters. And each of these new combination, each of these breathing pattern will have an influence on how we feel and how we think. So I'll hand over now to Celine, who will guide us through our first breathing technique today.
Thank you. So there's no better way to discover breath work than to actually experience it yourself. And from experience, and it's been a similar experience for Veronique and I, is that every time we introduce breath work to people, if it's the first time, they're amazed by how quickly they change. The state of mind, the state of being changes by just breathing consciously for a few minutes. So you don't have to believe me, you have to experience it to know this. So we're going to start off with a breath which we commonly call the grounding breath, also sometimes referred to as the physiological sigh in the scientific world. So this breath, we are going to use our nose for the inhale and our mouth for the exhale. We're going to use both channels. The inhale is going to be what we call a double inhale, meaning that we're going to inhale twice through the nose. So one big inhale, and then a second, which is a bit smaller. And then we're moving to the mouth and we're exhaling through, just gently opening the mouth and just letting that air sip through. So inhale nose twice, and then exhale through the mouth. What you are paying attention to is that you're trying to draw the breath in from the nose. You're trying to draw it in from low down in the belly. You're not trying to sort of move up your shoulders. So if you've got your camera on, you can see yourself. You want to make sure that your shoulders are not going up as you're breathing in. You're drawing it from lower down into your abdomen. And on the exhale, your inhales can be fairly active, fill up the cup. And then you want to slow down the breath on the exhale. So very gentle exhaling, very controlled exhales through the mouth. So let's do that. I'm going to do that for just about 3 minutes, and then we'll take 2 minutes to sort of just sit. Once we've stopped breathing, once we've stopped this breathing pattern, we'll just sit in that space and see what's happened. Okay, so we'll get started together. I will get us to get comfortable first. So let's maybe find a comfortable position in our chairs, feet on the ground. And if you want, and if you wish, you can close your eyes, or you can just lower your gaze to look at the keyboard, or you can look at me to get started and then put your gaze down. And we'll get started together. Let's just find our breath first. So just find where you're breathing. Just locate that breath. And we'll start breathing in the double inhale, exhale in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Inhale 1. Inhale again. Move to the mouth and exhale gently. And when you get to the bottom, again, inhale. Inhale again. And move to the mouth and exhale gently. And just keep that momentum of inhaling in, adding a second one on the top, filling up your lungs, and then moving straight into the exhale through the mouth, as if you're blowing out hundreds and hundreds of candles, controlling that exhale as much as possible. And as soon as you get to the bottom, inhale again, inhale a second time, move to your mouth, and exhale gently. And we're just about coming up to the first minute. So we've got about 2 more minutes of this. Just keep the cycle going. Inhale, top it up with another inhale. shift straight to the mouth and exhale. Just finding the rhythm. Around a minute and a half is when you will start feeling more comfortable with this controlled breathing pattern. So just focus on repeating. Inhale, inhale again. Make sure that your lungs are really full. And then move to the mouth and exhale. And use the exhales to soften and relax. And exhale is an opportunity to just let go of whatever you don't need right now. And we're entering our last minutes. So keep repeating the pattern. Put all your awareness on this inhaling in, inhaling again, exhaling softly, gently. Seeing if you can elongate those exhales every time. And just repeat. And we're entering our final 30 seconds. You probably have about 3 more breaths like this. Enjoy this last 3 breaths. And as you get to the bottom of the next exhale, just release the pattern. Keep your eyes shut or keep your gaze down. Don't come back too fast. Just release the gaze, release the pattern. And let your breathing go back to its normal default pattern. Let the breath do whatever it wants to do. And bring your awareness inside. And notice what, if anything, has changed. And to guide you a little bit here, you might want to pay attention to the thoughts in your head, the amount of thoughts or the speed of thought, the absence of thought. You might also notice your awareness has sort of dropped from your head down into the body. So you might notice some shift there. Just notice the quality of your being in this moment. How does it feel to be inside of you, inside your head, inside your body right now? And just stay there for another 30 seconds, just exploring this state. This is where the gift of breathwork lies. The gift is not in the breathing, it's in what lies in the after, once we release the breath again. And gently, mindfully, bringing your awareness back, you can start opening your eyes again. The breathing practice later on, but just maybe keep a little snapshot of what your experience was here, what that felt like. And we just did 3 minutes of breathing. I had a little thing to say, to add, is this this breathing practice in particular, in specifically comes from, well, it's not been invented by anybody in the West, but this breathing practice was attracted a lot of attention by the Stanford Medical School. There was a lab that is run by Professor David Spiegel and Andrew Huberman. You might have heard of Andrew Huberman. He has a very popular podcast out there. They ran an experiment in 2022, I believe. The results were released earlier this year, where they tested this particular breathing pattern, and they tested it and they compared it to 5 minutes of meditation and two other breathing patterns. What they found, and they did this on a sort of a sample of 100, just over 100 students. What they found was that this particular breathing pattern, if done 5 minutes, we did 3 minutes, but if you do it for 5 minutes and you do it consistently over 30 days, it drastically decreases your level of anxiety and stress. So what this tells us is that this little breathing pattern has an effect immediately when you do it, as you might have felt. But if you did it consistently for 30 days, at 5 minutes a day, at least 5 minutes a day, you would see a drop in your anxiety and stress levels, not just whilst you're doing it, but throughout your days. And that was a very thorough study done. That's really interesting. And it was more effective. It was shown to be more effective than 5 minutes of just mindfulness meditation, for those of you who meditate and know what that's like. So, Veronique, tell us a little bit more about maybe where we come into the picture.
Yeah. So let's have a look at what we consider is breath work. Because there might be different definitions according to where you come from. So for us, it's important to stress that breath work is not new. It's not a new thing. It's rooted in several traditions. So as a yoga teacher, I studied pranayama for a number of years. So it really is been integral to yoga, but also meditation, martial arts for thousands of years. So there is this really rich global heritage, and culturally as well, especially in the East, in India, in Tibet, Japan, and so on. And all these traditions highlight the transformative power of the breath, of controlling your breath. And they show how controlling your breath allows practitioners to master their mind and their body, whether you are a monk or a warrior or a yogi. Breath is important to control your mind and your body. But more recently, breath work has been the topic of a lot of scientific research. Actually, the research started probably in the 60s, but it has increased with the technological progresses. So, for instance, with new neuroimaging techniques, we are able now to see the impact of specific breathing pattern on the brain, on brain health. We can look at live MRI scans to see the movements of the different organs in the torso as we breathe. So there's more and more research because the tools are there, and also maybe the recent years because of COVID as well, and we notice the impact of the breath on our health. And the research hasn't focused only on the brain, but also on our health in general. And it has shown that breath work or conscious breathing has loads of physiological benefits, as we'll see soon, and also mental well-being benefits. So this research shows or validates what the Eastern traditions were saying. And we believe that these two aspects, the ancient origins of this and the science, can be harnessed and combined. And we want to bridge the gap between these two and to offer our clients what they need to be at their best. And that is really what we believe in, that we can rely on both the traditions and the science and combine them and use them both to make the most of breath work, no matter where you are at, but focusing on the specific needs of professionals. So that is what we consider breath work to be. And it's also important for us to stress that breath work is not the new yoga, it's not the new mindfulness, it's not just about relaxing. So if you can go to the next slide. Of course, breath work helps us to relax. Yeah, that is a very effective tool. But unlike mindfulness meditation, breathwork involves intentionally controlling and changing the body's physiological state. And that's why it is different. We are not just observing the breath. We might, but we are not just doing this. We're also controlling the breathing pattern. And that's why it is different and more effective. Also, just by learning to breathe efficiently, we can optimize many physiological parameters associated with health and longevity. And that's something that we observe with our clients is very often maybe due to stress or bad posture or cultural factors, we forget how to breathe properly. We might breathe through the mouth instead of the nose, or we might inhale, lifting the upper chest rather than the upper abdomen, or we might breathe too fast. So there are all these kind of dysfunctions that affect the way we breathe. And this in turn will affect our health. So by just learning to breathe properly, we can improve the way all the systems in our body work. Because as I said, we cannot change how the digestive system works, but if we use the breath and improve the way we breathe, our digestion will improve as well. So, and this is just by breathing well. And then we can also play around with the length, with the speed, with the channels, and so on. We can use the different techniques that traditions have highlighted, and we can improve our respiratory, our cardiovascular, autonomic nervous systems. We can improve all the systems in the body. And with these different techniques, we can reduce stress, anxiety, free radicals. These are all proven benefits of breath work. Research has shown that we can do that by harnessing the power of the breath. We can improve our digestion, the circulatory system, the blood flow. A big impact of conscious breathing is to improve our mood, our sleep, our metabolism, our ability to concentrate and focus. And also something that is maybe less well known is that by focusing on your breath, you actually thicken the gray matters in your brain. So you actually improve cognition. And these are only some of the benefits. As I said, research is ongoing and we discover more and more of these benefits, or we understand more and more why these benefits happen. For me, breath work is really an amazing tool, or I prefer to talk about language because it's the language that helps us to communicate with all the other systems in the body. And via the breath, we can change our physiology. We can change the way we feel and how we think. So this is a really powerful tool that we have at our disposal. Would you like to add anything, Céline?
No, I think that's plenty, and I think you've really got an idea of how many benefits are attached to sort of just physiological benefits, but all-round benefits really that attach to breath work. And of course, in more detailed webinars, we could get into more details around those benefits. What got us really curious here, I think, hearing what Veronique you just shared about improving cognition, improving focus, attention. With our background in corporate, we became very curious and started thinking, wait a minute, this sounds like something the corporate world is really needing. We know the challenges of the corporate world today. We know that, stress is on an all-time high. Burnouts are sort of, the burnout rates are going up and up and up. Some alarming sort of, data that's come up from the recent Gallup study around employee engagement shows that 44% of employees say that they felt stressed since yesterday. So that's almost, almost half people are saying they felt stressed in the last 48 hours. But alarmingly, people are now saying that about 21% of people are saying they felt anger in the last 24 to 48 hours. So we could question, I mean, that's not just stress as in, I'm under pressure. It's I'm actually feeling almost anger, maybe potentially resentment. So I think this is leading us to think and to see that actually, the level of pressure is going up in the corporate world, and there are not many effective tools to deal with that. And we can imagine that that level of pressure is not leading to better thinking, better decision making, better focus and attention, better ideas. If anything, we know what that feels like when we're stressed. It closes our minds. We're very reactive. We often we don't show up at our best. We make mistakes. We say the wrong things. So what got us really curious was, what if breathwork could help re-energize, reignite the workplace, give it a fresh breath, a fresh air moving through the system again. And the reason to link it back to what the benefits that Veronique beautifully sort of exposed to us right now is, if all these benefits could be offered to the workforce, if breathwork could be offered to the workforce and to people working in the corporate world, we know from again the research behind that, we know it would obviously improve their health, right? That's one, but overall it would improve performance and focus. It would reduce stress if people learned to breathe, to actually take breaks to breathe. And I know the question we asked at the beginning was, how many of you often take breaks to breathe? Now the question we should have really highlighted to breathe. How many of you really, we don't just think to have breaks. How many of us have breaks where we pick up our phone and we start looking through WhatsApp and our social media, or we start going on whatever Lazada or Amazon to make the order we have to make for tomorrow? A lot of us don't know how to take breaks. So imagine a workforce or corporate setting where people would actually breathe. That would reduce stress levels. That would obviously increase relaxation. People's attention would be better if people knew how to breathe, how to use the breath. And this is what we've discovered through our own journey through breathwork is, wow, by just breathing a few minutes, as you experienced a few minutes ago, your attention was you probably felt more grounded, you probably felt more focused, you felt calmer. What if you could do that? It just takes 3 minutes. What if you learned how to do that? Overall, it would increase brain health, and that would mean cognitive functions. And more ideas. I mean, if we quieten the noise up here, we calm down the nervous system. We know that that's what leads to more ideas, more creative thinking. Problem solving comes easier because we have access to more of the brain, really. So we know there's massive advantages of bringing breathwork into the corporate place. And we know with the science we've got now that is coming through and is showing us that brain health increases and brain functioning increases, we know that would have an effect on people working. And again, the sleep, Veronique told us about the effects are on health, not on sleep, of course, but the effects on overall health. People sleep better, mean that they recuperate faster, they're less fatigued, their mood is better, they regulate their emotions better, and overall they don't get so sick, which again is a huge cost to a lot of organizations when people go on sick leave. So maybe breathwork is not the ultimate answer, but maybe it's one very effective answer to a lot of the challenges that we're currently facing. So with that, you'll be able to sort of write down and send you our questions afterwards. But with that, we want to sort of get you to experience another breathing pause, or another breathing technique, to get a sense of what happens when we change some of the little tweaks we said earlier, the channel, the speed, the holds. So Veronique, would you like to take us through another breathing practice?
Would love to. So, but before we start, I'd like to invite you to think of a situation where you needed to make a key decision, a difficult one, maybe something that was very important. And if you want to close your eyes or lower your gaze and recall the emotions before you, or when you had to make this decision, maybe the sensations in your body. Maybe you can identify a specific breathing pattern when you needed to make this decision. How was your breathing? Maybe faster, shallow, rapid, soft. Try to recall the situation. Good. And now make sure that you are seated upright in a comfortable position with your feet flat on the floor. And focus on your breathing. You can have your eyes open or closed or lower your gaze as you want. And breathing through the nose. Feel the gentle expansion in the upper abdomen as you inhale. And the release as you exhale. And let's take a couple of breaths like this, just inhaling and exhaling through the nose gently. And we are now going to take control of the breath and change the length of the inhale and of the exhale and add some breath retention in between. So starting with an exhale, inhale for 2, 3, 4, and pause for 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4, and pause 2, 3, 4. Inhale 2, 3, 4. Pause 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4. Pause 2, 3, 4. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause. Continue on your own, inhaling, pausing, exhaling, and pausing. And if you want to adjust the rhythm to a count of 3 to 5, please do so, but keep the length of the 4 elements the same. And it's called the box breathing because you can visualize drawing a square box as you inhale, pause, exhale, and pause. Let's do 3 more squares. When you finished with your last square, you can come back to your natural breath. Keep your eyes closed if you want, and come back to the moment when you had to make a decision. And now, the way you feel, would it be easier to make this decision? Would you be in a better place? And this technique was made popular by a former Navy SEAL officer called Mark Devine. And he's actually training the military. And this is a technique that he uses a lot to train people who have to go on a mission. And what people in this situation need is to be both really relaxed, but also with a sharp mind, and to feel relaxed and in control. And but by doing this square breathing, the box breathing, that's exactly what we do. With the retention, we have the sense of control, and by balancing the length of the inhale and the exhale, we relax. So it's a really powerful breathing technique to use before, for instance, making a key decision or before engaging in a negotiation. It's also used for firefighters, surgeons. So all these people who need to be both relaxed and with a sharp mind and aware. How do you like this breathing technique, Celine?
I love it, but I love every opportunity to breathe. I'm biased, but every time I do it, I feel like I rediscover it. So it's always a joy to be guided through it.
Good.
And I think there's beauty in being guided in these practices, especially when we're sort of gaining them, because there is an idea of just letting go and just following the guidance, and just being sort of, guided on what to do next, so that you can just really soften into the experience. And yeah,
Exactly.
it's a very popular one. A lot of people say they've maybe done box breathing. Box breathing is only one of the many. As you've seen, the one we did before was grounding breath, which is more one to sort of come into presence and sort of bring the energy here and calm us down. This one has some similar effect, but if you played around with the technique, you'd notice they're very subtly different.
Yeah.
You just have to sort of get in tune with them to get the feel for which ones do you like best, which ones work best for you, and that's really what we want to sort of bring through the work we're doing.
Yeah, and actually that goes very nicely with the next slide, where the key principles of breath at work are two. The first one, as we said earlier, breath work is not just about wellness. It is really a strategic skill. And you can improve your ability to perform, to focus, to manage difficult situations, to switch off after work by using your breath. But the second one is that we don't teach techniques. We teach breath intelligence. And what we mean by that is, yes, we are sharing breathing techniques, but what we don't want you to be dependent on these guidance, but we want you to experience the power of the breath, so that you can develop this ability to self-regulate and to use the breath whenever, however you need to. So by following, for instance, a session on square box, but really feeling how the retention makes you feel, connecting with the sensation and the emotions, then you develop this natural ability to go back to it when you need to. So automatically, you might not call it the square box, but you will regulate your breathing pattern as you need it in specific situations. So this is what we teach. We teach breath intelligence.
Yeah.
So anything you want to add, or do you want
No,
to?
I was just going to add here on this, is as much as breath intelligence is definitely that's kind of our angle. We also make sure that the breathing techniques we bring in are things that are, we say, corporate friendly, meaning you might have been to pranayama, you might have done pranayama in yoga, you might have done Wim Hof breathing, very deep, loud breathing. What we really insist on is our breathing techniques for whatever we bring in through our offering, which I'll talk about in a minute, is all catered to be able to be done in the corporate world, sitting at your desk or in a meeting. You can practice a box breathing in a meeting without anybody noticing that you're doing it. And we have at heart, when we bring in practices for people, there are some practices you might want to be doing more at home or in a private space, but most of them are things that you can take and do on a bus, in an open space, in an office, like in a meeting. And that's what's really important to us, is that these are really practical tools. It doesn't require you to pull out a cushion, sit in a lotus position, or you know, have big gestures. And that's really something we really have at heart. That it's a sort of plug and play. You can use it everywhere, anytime. With that in mind, I'm going to take you through a little bit, just a few words about our offering, which you can again go and check on our website to go and see a little bit more. But in a nutshell, what Veronique and I have sort of woven together in this breathwork offering is it's more, we see it's more than just a service. It's more than just you know, a set of techniques we're giving. We really believe that breathwork is a transformative tool, and that's really something that we're bringing in. And that's why our service offering is vast, and it's very multi-modular in a way, like very flexible. So we can walk into an organization tomorrow and give breathwork webinars. So in other words, educate people about breathwork and take them through an experience of what breathwork is and different techniques they might want to use in different circumstances. So for examples is breathing techniques to before you have to step out and give a talk, or before you have to give a presentation, or breathing techniques when you're going to walk into a difficult conversation or negotiation, or breathing techniques to get to, you know, to sort of move from workplace back home and get ready for, you know, life at home, or breathing techniques to get through a lot of frustration. Like we can adapt, we can have, you know, in a sort of standard webinar, which is a general introduction to breathing, to breath work, or we can do very specific webinars on specific topics, and always make them very experiential, and always give them also a little bit of the science behind it. So we're educating people and building up intelligence. Another offering we have is individual coaching, one-on-one. Someone needs breath work and they want one-on-one support, we do that. We also offer to weave breath work into any existing leadership programs you might have, or any learning and development programs you might already have, and you think, you know, great, we could actually add in a module or component of breathwork into that program. As we do have a background in instructional design, and many years in learning development, we're absolutely at ease to come in and look at the current program you have and see where breathwork or the services we offer could be woven into existing to enhance them. We have at heart, this is a bit of our little baby that we love, is the idea of coming into the corporate setting and offering 30-minute breathing sessions, breathwork sessions. So again, these can be thematic. They can just be opportunities for people to breathe together, and just 30 minutes, which we think is just the right length for people to get, again, the experience and to learn something at the same time. And it can really enhance the corporate culture that you have in place, especially if you're wanting to encourage corporate wellness and well-being, and get people to operate at their best. And then the last sort of component of our offering is retreats and immersive experiences, which might last from 1 day to 3 days. Could be part of a team building event, could be a breathwork retreat. Again, we're really keen to talk to you if you've got ideas around that and you'd like to bring that in. We're really keen to come in and sort of brainstorm with you and design that for you. What we have, I mean, in essence, why we're doing all of this? Well, we're doing all of this because we truly believe, one, in the power of the breath, and we can't believe that we are all walking around with this nose, breathing in and out about roughly 20,000 times a day, but we have no idea what the potential that lies in that, in every breath. So one is, of course, we want people to discover what we've discovered and what we keep on learning about. But the other thing is that we would like to imagine that we could have a corporate world um, where breathwork becomes a new normal. So, and that, what does that mean? That in effect means maybe we hold more mindful meetings. On that picture, we're seeing a group of gentlemen. There's a woman sitting at the top of the table. Maybe she's a COO, maybe she's breathwork practitioner, we're not sure. But in this picture, we've got a woman that's obviously guiding these men through some breathing practices, and imagining that workplaces or meetings could start in that way. We could coordinate or take a few minutes to breathe because we've just come from 3 other meetings and we need to land here before we make big decisions. We'd love to see this being put in place when people move into conversations with each other at work, or, you know, when you're preparing for a difficult conversation, you're giving feedback, you might want to take a few breaths before you go into that conversation or whilst you're doing it. We'd love this to be breathwork to be part of, learning and development in general, just again, as I said earlier, woven into programs. So we incorporate that dimension. And it's not just a little wellness thing on the side we do once in a while. And in general, just having workplaces that sort of create spaces where people can really take a breath from time to time. And in essence, that's what we sort of envision, is that breath work becomes something we're familiar with, something we use. It's a tool like any other tool we have. And maybe it becomes as important as the coffee machine in companies are today. The coffee machine is this sacred place in a lot of corporations where we run after the coffee machine in the morning and we meet at the coffee machine. What if breathwork was becoming the new sort of the coffee or the breakout area where people come? That's another thing that we could think of. So that's really what we want to share with you today. I'll leave the closing words to Veronique.
Well, I really think that this revolution is already started, and I believe it is possible, that we are going to be part of it. And I also hope that maybe in 20, 30 years, we won't need to do a corporate breath work. The next generation will be brought up focusing on their breath naturally. So in the future, hopefully, breathwork will come as well in the schools, in the universities, and everybody will harness this power that we all have to make life better, to make this world a better place. So breathwork revolution is just here right now, and we are here. So don't hesitate to get in touch with us. You might know already our LinkedIn page, or you might check our website. Here is our email. And as Celine said, we are really open to talk to you and to find a way to bring breathwork into your setting and to help you improve the way your employees or your teams or your company work. So don't hesitate to contact us. We would be more than happy to work with you.
Beautiful. Thank you. And if you know of any organization, if it's not your organization, if you know of another organization, or you've got friends on your network and you can share this with, even if it's just sharing the link to our LinkedIn page or the link to our website, more than happy. At this stage, we're starting out, and so it's really for us sort of creating a bit of this movement, this revolution with us, and getting more and more people aware of this. And track us, maybe follow us on LinkedIn. We're going to be doing a series of events in the next few weeks and months, sort of to get people to understand what it is we're offering and to have a real experience of breath work. So they really get that there's something there. In just a few minutes, something can be different. And that's something we want to sort of showcase. So follow us, share our details, contact us even for a chat, even if there's nothing there, but you just want to sort of have a chat and know more. We're more than happy to jump on a call and get to know you. So thank you very much for coming today. And we look forward to any future conversations we may have. Thank you.